The Ashes of Aquitaine, Act 1, Scene 1. A darkened stage, save for the heraldic banner of King Henry II of England.
July, in the year of our Lord, 1189. To his most revered Father in holiness, Pope Clement, highest pontiff by the grace of God, I, Eleanor, once the joyful Queen of England, do hereby write to inform your holiness of the great and sorrowful calamity which has befallen your humble servant. My realm is no more, holiness. My life, indeed my very soul, has been cruelly torn from within me. All that was once good is gone. All that was once joy is sorrow. I pray you, take heed of what I'm about to relate. I beg that God will see fit to drown me in his mercy until these burning arrows within me cease.
The scene is the antechamber of a medieval French castle, Chinon, home of Henry II. Father Alban paces the room anxiously. A young servant girl, Catherine, enters.
Father Alban, Her Majesty Queen Eleanor has arrived. I have prepared her chambers as you instructed.
Thank you, child. Is there any news of the king's arrival?
No, Father, not as yet.
Very well, then. See to the queen's needs.
Father, forgive me, but what is happening? The other servants, they speak in whispers. There is a great fear. Are we in danger?
King Philip has declared war on our sovereign, child. He would drive King Henry out of France and back to England.
But they say Prince Richard, the king's own son, fights against him.
Prince Richard has apparently chosen to rebel against his father, yes. Very much like his brother did before him.
Will the younger prince not help?
Prince John? That is most unlikely.
Unseen to either of them, Eleanor of Aquitaine has entered the chamber.
Is there something else, child?
Father, Richard's soldiers, if they come here, it is said that the common women are...
Do not be afraid, Catherine. Within these walls you are safe, I promise you. Even from the devil himself.
Devil, Father? Just whom are you referring to?
Cat exits.
Your Grace, my apologies. I did not see you come in. Welcome to Chinon. I trust your journey was pleasant?
I asked you a question, Father Alban. Who is the devil of whom you speak?
The devil takes many guises, Your Grace. I refer to them all.
You mentioned Richard's soldiers. Do you really think that they would harm that girl?
With respect, Your Grace, Richard's army is not noted for its restraint.
My son is not the devil, Father Alban.
Of course not. He's merely your son.
Where is the king?
His Majesty has not yet arrived.
Then why was I summoned to Chinon?
I know not, Your Grace.
Father Alban, you have been Henry's confessor for more than 30 years. He tells you everything.
Whatever the king may have said to me, Your Grace knows full well I am bound by the seal of confession. However, I can truthfully say that he said nothing to me as to your presence. Truth be told, he has said precious little at all these past few months. A fact I find quite disturbing.
It must have something to do with Richard. Henry never releases me unless something or someone is causing him grief, and it's usually Richard. Do you know how long I've been in prison, Father?
Young Henry's rebellion was some time ago, Your Grace. At least
16 years. 16 years, Father Alban. Long enough to see all of my children grown and gone. Long enough to see 2 of them dead, or rather hear of their deaths.
A heavy penance. Yet, as I recall, His Majesty imprisoned you because you aided the young Henry when he rebelled against his father, very much as Richard does now.
Come, Father. You and I are far too old to traipse this childish dance. Can't we simply admit that we hate each other? Surely God would have it that way.
God would have many things a different way, Your Grace. And I do not hate you. One must love before one can hate.
Say what you will, Father.
The king is angered by Richard's rebellion, as well he should be.
Richard undoubtedly wants what is his by right. After all, he is the eldest son.
Then he should wait until God decides to call Henry to eternal glory, not take the throne by force.
But Henry would have John succeed him. I know my sons, father. Both of them. Richard is far more capable.
Henry sees John as more fitting. That's his right as king.
Ah, yes, the right of kings, that which trumps all arguments in the end. Tell me, father, you know my sons. Which do you think is more fitting?
I am a servant of God, your grace. I think only in terms of that which is pleasing to him.
A skillful answer. You're a politician as well as a priest.
I serve God and his majesty.
Always in that order.
Whenever possible. In any event, his majesty only wishes to avoid more bloodshed, something Richard seems far less worried about.
Even so, I don't understand what Henry expects me to do. I haven't seen Richard in years. I wish he'd left me in prison. Better a stifling castle than this wretched shuffling about.
A herald's trumpet sounds from outside.
God be praised. The king's men.
Those soldiers, there, they carry someone.
It's the king.
Is he wounded?
I don't know. I'll go to him.
I'll come with you.
No.
What?
I know the king's mind, and I have his sanction. You will wait until you are summoned.
He is my husband. I shall attend him.
I said no.
Father Alban! I am Eleanor Plantagenet, Duchess of Aquitaine, Countess of Poitiers, wife of King Henry II, and Queen, by God's grace, of England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. I will not be treated with contempt.
My deepest apologies, your majesty. I truly meant no offense, I promise you. Once I know more of the king's condition, I will immediately have you summoned.
Alban exits. Petra and Alice suddenly enter, followed by a young knight, William Talvis.
Good lady sister, or would you prefer I call you your majesty?
Petra! Dearest sister, you may call me whatever you like. How is it you're here?
I know not, only that I was summoned.
Well, Lady Alice, do you know?
No, your majesty.
Curious. Well, no matter. Ah, to see my sister again after, how long has it been? Petra, I've lost track of the years.
Too long, Eleanor, far too long. My imprisonment has been no less tedious than your own, I'm sure.
You've been in a cloister, not a prison.
Is there a difference? After my good husband annulled our marriage, he had me confined to a convent for my safety. The only thing safe was my womanhood. I swear, even the choir boys began to look pleasing.
Petra!
But what of you, dear sister? How do you fare? I hear of the struggle between Richard and Henry.
I've only heard what you have, I'm sure. What do you know, Lady Alice? I saw the king carried in. Is he wounded from combat?
No, your majesty. He has fallen ill, gravely ill. He collapsed on his way to Alcyon after Philip attacked him at Le Mans. Something to do with his stomach, although the physicians didn't say what.
My lady, doubtless you are tired after this long journey. Is there anything I can fetch you? Some cold water, perhaps, or something to eat? I can have the servants prepare your chambers.
I'm fine, William. Thank you for your concern.
It is my pleasure, dear lady. After all, I am yours to command.
Yes, and I am pleased with your loyalty, William. As you can see, however, I am perfectly content. Why don't you go and see to the king? Perhaps you can help him with his needs.
Are you sure, my lady? If there is an attack...
An attack? An attack of what? Dormice? Spiders? I am safe within these walls, William. Truly, boy, your concern grows tedious at times. Allow me to have at least a moment's privacy with my queen and her sister.
Of course, my lady, as you wish. My concern is solely for your comfort and safety. Your Majesty, Lady Petra.
He exits.
God save me from such loyalty.
Dare I ask what that's about?
William Talvis, my guardian. Sir William, if you can believe it. A knight and barely a grown man. Henry assigned him to me when the troubles with Richard began, although I must admit he's been more of a vex than a service. The boy flits about me like a moth to a candle, and he is every bit as annoying.
He's a handsome youth, and quite obviously taken with you.
He's barely a grown man, Lady Petra.
As long as he's fully grown where it counts.
Truly. Dear sister, you have been in that cloister for too long.
Cat enters, curtsying before Eleanor.
Your Majesty, Queen Eleanor, Father Alban bids you to come to the king's chambers. He would see you now.
Eleanor exits, Cat follows.
Should you ever wish to be rid of your young knight, Lady Alice, then by all means give him to me. I could use a guardian.
Scene 2. King Henry II's bedchamber. The king lies in his bed, while Father Alban standing nearby. Eleanor enters.
Is he?
Only resting, Your Grace. He's quite ill.
What's wrong with him?
I don't know. He has a fierce pain in his stomach and vomits blood. His physician thinks it may be an ulcer.
That's understandable. He drinks more wine than water. Has he said why he summoned me?
No, he said very little, other than he wants to see you.
I may speak with him?
For a short while. Try not to tire him.
Tire him? Of course, Father, whatever you say.
Alban exits.
Henry, it's Eleanor. Oh, of course. Just when I know exactly what I wish to say, the old goat sleeps.
Careful, lady. I've beheaded others for lesser insults.
You could have told me you were awake.
And missed the look on your face? It amazes me how the years have always been kinder to you than to me. Why is that?
I'm nice, sir.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far. He found me, Eleanor.
Who, Richard?
No, not Richard. Death. No matter how fast I ran or where I tried to hide, he still found me.
He has not claimed you yet.
No, but I feel him clawing at my backside, the cheeky beggar.
Why have you summoned me, Henry?
Husband can't send for his wife when he's dying.
We have not been husband and wife for a long time.
And whose fault is that?
Does it matter?
I didn't go through with the annulment, Eleanor. I could have, but I didn't. Don't ask me why. Indeed, I have continually puzzled over just what it is that's kept us married for all these years.
Distance.
Indeed. The poets would say that distance only makes the love grow stronger.
Poets would also say that violets are blue, and they are in fact violet.
Truly, madam, your logic is dizzying.
Why am I here, Henry?
King Philip wants his land back.
His land? You mean the French territories you stole?
They weren't stolen. They were acquired, and fairly, as a diplomatic trade. Most of them, anyway. Now the young whelp wants them back. Apparently he's decided he's going to be like his father, Louis. You remember Louis, don't you? Your former husband?
I do, and thank you so much for reminding me I have terrible taste in men. In any event, Philip is not my son.
Yes, and more's the pity. If he were, I could simply have him imprisoned.
Oh, well, in that respect, he may as well be.
You tried to overthrow me, Eleanor.
I merely gave aid to my eldest son.
Who tried to take my throne by force? The fool boy couldn't wait for me to die.
Yes, very few can.
What?
Nothing. You tried to give away young Henry's legacy. Everything he was entitled to as heir. His lands, his titles.
They were mine to give.
Oh, not all of them. Not the Aquitaine.
No, not that again. No, for God's sakes, Eleanor. It's just a piece of land.
Oh, yes, to you. To you, it was just another accruement, another chip for your bargaining table, but not to me. It's my heritage, Henry, my legacy. My father gave me that land long before I met you, before I even married Louis. But you would have given it away without so much as a by your leave.
It was for diplomacy, woman. A king must have peace in his realm.
Oh, indeed, which is far more important than your family.
It was no cause for revolt.
And yet you pardon young Henry.
The boy was dying of dysentery. His time was limited enough. Yes, he caused me much grief. But I wish he'd lived to cause me more. Besides, his folly I put down to his youth. You had no excuse. Oh, sweet Christ. What could I have possibly done to have offended God this much, that he would let me die without an heir?
What do you mean by that? I bore you 5 sons, Henry. 5.
Not yet none of them worthy. You turned them all against me, Eleanor. I loved you, and you turned them against me.
You never loved me. I thought you did. I even thought I loved you. I gave up Louis for you. I was queen of the entire French realm, and yet I threw it all away for the handsome, young, future king of England. Dear God, when I think how foolish I was.
You were ambitious, Eleanor. You and Louis were through long before we ever met. You were bored and you needed a new challenge, just like me. That's the problem with both of us, Lamb. We're too much alike.
Oh, truly, Henry, I grow exceedingly tired of this pointless dance. Either tell me why you brought me here or send me back to prison.
What news is there of Philip?
Philip? None that I'm aware, but Richard marches here to Chinon.
Of course. Philip would never deign to come himself. He uses my son as a weapon against me.
But why this conflict in the first place? Negotiate with Philip. Give him back his lands and appeasement.
It's not just the land. Richard wants my throne for himself.
Well, then name him your successor. It is his right.
But he doesn't care about ruling. He lives for war, for conquest. It's one.
And I seem to recall you started more than a few of your own. Perhaps he's only following in his father's footsteps.
Richard couldn't be king, Eleanor. He was born here in France. He was raised here. You saw to that. He's never even set foot in England. How can he rule a land he's never seen, a people he's never known?
And John can. Henry, John is a weak, cowardly drunkard who spends his fortune, your fortune, on wine and whores. That is a king?
But he is known in England. He will be accepted there. Don't you understand, Eleanor? The last thing I want to see is my kingdom descend into civil war.
And how can I prevent that?
You can parley with Richard.
Oh, I haven't seen Richard in, I don't know how many years. You saw to that.
Even so, he will still listen to you. He was your favorite. I always knew that.
He was the only one you would allow me near. All the others were sent away.
All royal children are raised apart. That's always been the way. They must be trained as to their purpose in life.
Perhaps that's why we failed them. We give them purpose, but no love.
Love? Love is useless in diplomacy. It takes an iron will and a sharp sword.
And how many times have you ended up at the point of that sword?
None of that matters now. I need Richard to listen.
Listen to what?
To reason, to a plan for peace between England and France. If I try to approach him, I know it'll come to naught, but he'll listen to you.
You seem overly certain of that.
I am king. I know my subjects, and I know my family. I've not outpaced death this long for that very reason. Eleanor, please. If I'm shortly to face God, then I want to do so knowing that the kingdom he gave me is intact. I want that to be my legacy, nothing more.
No, of course not. Nothing more.
No, do this for me, Eleanor, please. Do this one last thing for me before I die.
Why should I, Henry? Tell me that. I'm your prisoner, not your wife. What's in it for me?
Your freedom.
Don't toy with me, Henry. Don't you dare toy with me. I know you too well. You take pleasure in dangling promises before your victims only to snatch them away in the end.
Do I? Yet another sin to confess to Father Alban. Hopefully there's time.
Oh, damn you. Don't play this wretched game.
It's not a game, Eleanor. I swear it. Do this for me, and if Richard agrees to my terms, you will have your freedom.
What is it you wish me to do?
Scene 3. The castle throne room the next morning. Father Alban paces nervously back and forth. Talbot appears.
Eminence, His Royal Highness, Prince John.
Talbot bows as Prince John enters. John is in his early 20s. He wears a royal mantle, a jeweled dagger, and a gold circlet crown, but his appearance is slovenly and disheveled. He throws himself heavily into one of the thrones.
Wine.
Your
Talbot
Highness.
exits.
Your Highness, I'm pleased you could come so quickly.
This is about a big important priest. Away to Gascony when I received your summons. Baron de Blondeville is hosting a falconry tournament, which I was favored, of course, to win.
It was your father's summon, Highness. His situation is quite grave.
Is he dying?
I believe he is, Highness.
How soon?
That's for God to decide.
Oh, yes, God. I should have known. Well, hopefully he'll make up his mind very soon. And what exactly does Father want of me? Or is that for God to reveal?
Talbot enters the throne room, followed by Catherine. She holds a goblet of wine.
Your father, the king, has made his wishes well known. Through God's grace, of course.
Hello. And who might this be? What's your name, lass?
Catherine, sire.
John pulls Cat into his lap.
And then I shall call you Cat. Will you purr for me, my little cat?
Highness, with respect, we need to address the situation at hand. There will be time for other distractions later.
Don't go far, my little kitty cat. I should be quite vexed if I had to track you down.
Cat rushes out of the room.
What is this situation?
Your brother, Prince Richard, marches on Chinon as we speak.
Oh, I have 500 men at arms.
Forgive me, Your Highness, but Prince Richard has said to have more than 2,000 men.
Who the hell are you?
William Talbot, Your Highness, Count of Ponthieu.
You don't look old enough to be a count. But what of it? We can hold this castle.
We are not provisioned for an extended siege, Highness. In any event, the last thing your father wants is war. He wishes to negotiate with Richard and King Philip.
Father? Negotiate? God's teeth, he must be dying.
Eleanor enters.
So it is true. You did come after all.
Mother, what are you doing here? I didn't know Father had released you.
Your mother has been summoned by the king, Highness, just as you have. You are both here solely at his command.
The years have been kind to you, at least. After all this time, I would have expected a shriveled old crone.
Yet I see exactly what I expected to see, a drunken fool.
Careful how you speak to me, woman.
I'm your mother. I will speak to you however I please.
I am no longer a boy. I'm a man.
Oh, yes, you are a man, but you are not a king.
Highnesses, please. Enough of this, I beg you. You must put aside any grievances for the sake of the king.
You will not speak with such impudence, priest.
I mean no disrespect, but the king's health declines by the minute, and I fear time is of the essence. While he still lives, I am his voice, and he expects you to listen.
Very well, then. Speak.
I wait for Lady Alice. It is the king's wish that she should be here as well.
Alice enters.
I am here, Father Alban. Please forgive my delay.
Lady Alice,
Lady Alice.
God save. Good
God
morning,
save you
my
this day.
lady. Good morning, my lady. You are.
I am William, thank you.
You slept peacefully, I hope.
I did indeed. The bedbugs and spiders made no assailment. Doubtless they knew you were close by.
Lady Alice. So good to see my intended once again. I do so long for the day when our betrothal can finally be consummated.
Your Highness.
Your betrothal to Lady Alice is one of the issues we must discuss, Highness. Your father wishes instead that she marry Prince Richard.
But she was promised to me.
She was always promised to Richard. Henry only changed his mind when Richard fell out of favor. Besides, she's Philip's sister, and Henry wishes to maintain stability with France.
And there would be no stability under my rule?
You're rarely stable on your own feet. How can you stabilize a kingdom?
This match is beneficial politically, Highness.
Yes, the Vexen, the province given with her dowry, another piece of God-forsaken land.
You are amenable to this, Lady Alice?
I am the king's humble servant, father, as always.
Ridiculous. Besides, everyone knows Richard's tastes lie in the opposite direction.
It is the king's will, Highness.
Of course it is. Tell me then, what else am I to lose?
In truth, Highness, you are to gain. All of England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. Richard will receive most of the French provinces, while you will retain Brittany and Normandy. Queen Eleanor will retain the Duchy of Aquitaine.
Brittany and Normandy only.
Truly, John, I should think you'd be ecstatic. You would control all of Europe's wine.
And how is it you would control the Aquitaine? Aren't you father's prisoner?
The king has promised my freedom.
Mad! The entire world gone mad. And who would be king, priest? Me or Richard?
Neither of you, Highness. At least, not yet. You would each hold your share of the realm until one of you dies. God would choose the successor.
I'm sick of waiting for God. I am father's heir. He promised me as such, just as he promised me Alice. God no longer has any say in this, priest, nor do you.
Listen to yourself, John. You would see the entire kingdom plunged into civil war.
And you truly believe I wouldn't win? O ye of little faith. I will be king. God's will be damned.
He exits.
God forgive me for giving birth to such a fool.
The king would
She
like to see you, Lady Alice.
Truly, I would like to see him. Thank you, father.
Alice exits.
Was she truly promised to Prince John, Eminence?
You know the politics of marriage as well as I do, William. Yet it was never what God intended.
Would you be willing to hear my confession, father?
What would you confess, my son?
Murderous thoughts.
Don't worry yourself, lad. In that respect, I shall need forgiveness as well.
Scene 4. Henry's bedchamber. Henry stands at the window staring outside. Alice enters.
What are you doing out of bed?
Watching for that bastard son of mine, which is truly ironic since he's one of the few who isn't a bastard.
Get back into bed now.
You are ordering me?
Well, someone has to.
You do realize I am king.
Yes, but what does that have to do with anything? Get back into bed.
Oh, my sweet, sweet Alice. What would I do without you?
You would just find another.
Oh, no. There is no other. Not like you.
Here, love. Get back into bed. You need rest.
Oh.
Henry, are you all right?
Fine, fine. It comes and goes. Though far more often. That priest tells me I'm dying, love.
What does he know? He's a priest, not a physician.
He's a son of God. He's much closer to him than I am, although I fear that may soon change. Alice, I'm so sorry.
For what?
For everything, for wanting you, for taking you.
You took nothing I didn't give, willingly.
I know, but you were an alliance, promised to my son as a diplomatic pact. You came to my court as a child, and I watched you grow into an incredibly beautiful woman. And the more beautiful you became, the more I envied Richard. Do you know I deliberately delayed your wedding? Repeatedly?
You didn't hear me complain, did you?
No. Though God knows you had more than enough reason. Forgive me, Alice. I used you. I loved you, but I used you. And I still do.
You mean Richard?
Richard, John, what difference does it make? I made you a plaything, a ball tossed back and forth between them like children.
I wondered why I always felt so dizzy. Do you truly believe my marrying Richard will achieve peace?
It will appease Philip.
Philip cares nothing for me, Henry. He only covets the Vexen. Besides, you may need to convince John more than me.
Oh, John is here?
Yes, and as spoiled as ever. He threw quite the tantrum when Father Alban explained your wishes. He will have me, and he will be king. Apparently you promised as much.
A drunken little fool. As much as it pains me to say, Eleanor was right. Never tell her I said that.
Your secret is safe with me. In any event, Richard is at least fair-minded.
Richard, fair-minded? Oh, 2 years ago, I sent him to quell an uprising in Anglesey. Some of the barons there refused to pay their taxes. I told him to negotiate, to listen to their terms before doing anything rash. He approached the city under a flag of truce, but when the gates were opened, he attacked. He slaughtered half the town and hung the barons from the battlements.
Does Queen Eleanor know this?
Do you really think that she'd believe it? He could never do wrong in her eyes.
I think I could have married Geoffrey.
Oh, yes, Geoffrey, the practical one. I had such high hopes for that lad.
It was difficult to watch him, or to see him die that way. It was only a joust.
Geoffrey lived for the joust. Alice, it was his passion. Granted, it's far more fitting for a knight to fall in true combat, but Geoffrey died content, I'm sure of it.
In any event, it would seem I am doomed to marry a Plantagenet ass one way or another.
I'm truly sorry, love. I must play the tyrant for the sake of diplomacy.
Really? You only play?
Don't think you can take advantage of my infirmity, girl. I can still lock you in the tower.
At least I would have Queen Eleanor and Lady Petra for company.
Petra's here?
Yes, though no one seems to know why.
I sent for her. I thought it might please Eleanor.
That is important?
More than you can possibly realize. Let me worry about John, Alice. Only do as I ask. Will you do this for me, love? Will you marry
Yes.
Richard?
Yes, but not while you still live.
You have no worries in that regard. Even to witness that union would end my life. I've never known another woman like you, Alice. You asked for nothing, and I gave you nothing. Yet you gave me...
Where others saw a king, I saw a man I loved.
Release you. Oh, before God, I wish I could set you free to marry whom you would.
I'd rather live as a withered crone than without you, Henry.
No, you will never be a crone. You will live as a queen and bear many sons.
God grant they bring me greater happiness than yours.
Truly, lass, your wit is surpassed only by your beauty. Even if I end up in heaven, which Father Alban himself admits is debatable, I could never enjoy its magnificence without you.
Then don't leave me.
That isn't in my power. Such irony, isn't it? I defeated every enemy I opposed, won every treasure I coveted, took any woman I desired, but I cannot hold back death. What's the point of even being king? Please say you'll forgive me, Alice.
With all my soul, love.
Good. If you will, I am tired and would sleep again.
May I stay with you just for a while?
If you wish. But if I should start to die, please fetch Father Alban. It may not help, but at least he'll put in a good word.
Hush, Henry. I will not let you die, not while I'm here.
Well then, you must never leave this room.
Henry falls asleep. Alice rests her head in his arm, then begins to sob. Scene 5. The castle antechamber the next morning. Eleanor stands at the window. Petra quietly enters and stands behind her.
Do you plan to jump, dear sister?
Oh, Petra, you startled me.
When I was locked in the cloister, there was a parapet just off the bell tower above the chapel. Many is the time I would stand and stare up at it, debating whether I should climb up and throw myself off. Only one thing stopped me.
Your fear of God?
My fear of heights. Oh, I've always loved your laugh, Eleanor, though I heard less and less of it as we grew older.
I have very little to laugh about anymore.
You mourn the king's illness?
Oh, I could never mourn for Henry about anything.
What happened, Eleanor? You used to be so happy. I remember your coronation. You and Henry seemed so much in love.
Oh, we were. Or at least I thought we were. It fell apart so quickly.
Yes. The wandering eye of the flesh. That's what caused my annulment.
Infidelity?
Yes, but not his.
We are what we are, I suppose.
Eleanor, your letter stopped so long ago, so I never really knew much of what happened between the two of you. There were rumors.
Of what?
Many things. Rebellion, treason, murder.
Really? Just who am I supposed to have murdered?
Henry's mistress.
Oh, really? Petra, you need to be more specific. See, there was Jane, Elizabeth, that young scullery girl. I can't recall her name. Margaret, Alice.
Alice? Richard's intended?
Oh, don't look so shocked, sister. Henry takes whom he wants. At least he had the decency to wait till she was 17. I suppose that's some consolation. But to continue, let's see, there was Louise, Catherine.
Rosamond Clifford.
Yes, Rosamond. Tell me, what exactly did you hear?
That you poisoned her when you learned of their affair.
Oh, yes, I heard that story. I also heard that I cornered her in a labyrinth garden at Woodstock Palace, where I offered her a choice between poison and a dagger. I think I like that one much better.
Did you kill her?
I hated her, Petra. I won't deny that. She was beautiful. Probably the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen. I knew Henry wanted her. How could he not? But I was pregnant with John, and it was before the troubles with young Henry. I truly believed that things were getting better between us. But then she came along. It wasn't just that he took her, Petra. That was bad enough. But he flaunted her. He paraded her before the entire court and made absolutely no secret of their affair. I was so consumed with hatred of the both that even John's birth brought no joy. Indeed, I think that's why I have such disdain for John. Whenever I look at him, I see her.
But did you kill her, Eleanor?
I don't know how she died. I was imprisoned at the time. Henry had placed her in a convent in Oxford after young Henry had rebelled. Possibly he wanted her out of my reach. Who knows? I only heard that she died suddenly. I did not weep at the news.
You could have had her killed.
Yes, I could have. Can we talk of other things, sister? This morning is too beautiful to dwell on death.
Is Henry any better?
Oh. Father Alban said he passed the night peacefully. Alice was with him.
You don't seem to mind their affair.
I told you, I no longer care. So many memories.
Do you really think that when Henry's dead, you'll be free of them?
But I'll be free of him.
And is that what you really want, Eleanor?
Of course it is. Why wouldn't it?
It just doesn't seem like you, dear sister. You've always known exactly what you wanted. I could always tell. I still can.
Prince John enters.
Good morrow, Lady Mother. I trust you are well.
John, do you remember your aunt, Petra?
Petra? I don't think so.
Oh, but I remember you. You were 6 the last time I saw you. The cook was chasing you because you'd stolen jam from the pantry and it was smeared all over your face. I stepped in front of you and I told you that you needed your backside birched and you kicked me in the shin. You were a horrid boy.
I am not a boy.
Of course not. Your Majesties.
Which?
Petra exits.
Which? Just let her wait till I'm king.
What do you want, John?
Can't a son simply say good morning to his mother?
What do you want, John?
I want to see father. The meddlesome priest won't let me. He says he's exhausted. Apparently not exhausted enough for Alice. Will you tell him to let me in?
And why, pray tell, would he defer to me?
Because people listen to you. Even father.
Oh, why, yes, of course he does. Which is exactly why I've been in prison for the past 16 years.
Father promised me the crown.
Oh, Henry promises everything to everyone. He gives only when it suits him. You should know that by now.
But how do I share the realm with Richard?
You'll be in England. He'll be in France. I should think that was obvious.
But I like France. It's where I hunt, where I joust, where I...
Drink and whore. You can do either, wherever you please. No realm claims sovereignty over those.
Richard won't go along with it. I know him. He won't go along with it. You'll see.
Let me worry about Richard.
Oh, yes. Dear Richard. Mother's favorite son. Anything he wants, he can have. That's always the way it has been, hasn't it? Tell me, Mother. I heard that he shared your bed growing up. Was that true, or was that just another malicious rumor? Like you're killing Rosamond?
Eleanor raises her hand as if to strike him. John backs away. Eleanor lowers her hand and starts to exit.
Why do you hate me?
What?
Why do you hate me? You've always hated me. You've loved Richard far more than anybody else.
I didn't know you, John. Henry took you away from me when you were still a babe. Part of my punishment for young Henry. He threw Richard aside just as he did me. Richard was all I had.
That makes me any less of your son?
No, your actions do that.
Even so, Richard is still favored by everyone. Do you know what they call him, Mother? Coeur de Lion, Lionheart. Do you know what I am called? John Lackland. Lackland. Why? Because I have nothing. No land, no titles, nothing.
You were the youngest. You were never expected to inherit the throne.
Yes, of course, the law of succession. How could I forget? Let me see. How does it work again? The eldest son inherits the title, the middle commands the army, and the youngest becomes a priest. God's teeth. Can you see that, Mother? Can you truly see me as a priest? Your sins are truly forgiven, my child. Then again, it wouldn't be all that bad. After all, I'd be privy to one's deepest, darkest secrets. Not to mention the fact that I'd have plenty of wine and access to the convents.
Truly, every word that comes out of your mouth proves you more of an ass.
That's as may be. But mark my words, Mother. I will be king.
Perhaps you will, but God grant it's only after I'm dead.
Eleanor exits. Scene 6. The king's bedchamber a short time later. Henry retches violently into a bowl held by the serving girl, Cat. Father Alban stands nearby.
Thank you, child.
Sire?
Cat stands and hurries out of the room.
How do you feel, Majesty?
How do I look, priest?
Like a king.
Oh, who feels like a dog? It's been poisoned. My entire body burns. Is this what hell feels like, Father?
I know not, Majesty. I pray neither of us ever finds out.
Oh, you have a better chance of avoiding it than I do, but I appreciate the sentiment.
You've given a good confession. If it's God's will you die, you will do so in his grace.
I haven't told you the half of what I've done, Father. Trust me, you don't want to hear it.
Nothing is hidden from God, Majesty, though men continually try. Do you repent of your sins?
What I repent of is my stupidity, which seems to have grown worse with each passing year. Age is supposed to bring wisdom, is it not?
Wisdom comes from God, and by learning from our mistakes.
A king is God's anointed. Can he even make mistakes?
I'm not certain I can answer that question, Majesty.
Why not?
Because I've grown tremendously fond of my head.
Oh, don't worry yourself, Father. Of all the people I would see dead, your name is last on the list.
I take great comfort in knowing that, Your Majesty, though it does trouble me that I'm even on your list.
I am the king, Father. Everyone is on my list. What news of Richard?
Scouts report seeing riders wearing his colors a few leagues north, but no sign of the prince himself.
He'll be here soon enough.
Prince John would have us fortify the castle for a siege.
Of course he does, which would last only until he ran out of wine.
In any event, the Lady Eleanor...
Queen Eleanor?
Of course, Majesty. My apologies. Queen Eleanor thinks she can make the young prince see reason.
She'll need the patience of Job. And a heavy club. Much as it pains me, Father, she's right about John. Yet another example of my stupidity.
I shall leave you to rest then. There is one thing I meant to tell you, Majesty. The Lady Petra has asked to see you.
Petra? To see me?
Indeed. She waits even now outside.
Is she armed?
Not as I could see, Majesty. Would you have her searched?
No. No, that would only make her angry. Send her in, Father, but leave the door open.
Alban exit. Petra enters.
Your Majesty.
Lady Petra, is it really you? Alice told me you were here, but I wasn't sure I believed her. Last I heard, you were confined to a convent. I see no nun's habit, but I see no broomstick either, so perhaps it was beneficial.
Oh, but I left it outside, Your Majesty, along with my cat. Though I did bring my wand.
To turn me into a toad, no doubt.
Oh, no, of course not. I have too much respect for toads. I think I shall make you a common housefly instead, annoying as you are.
Me? You are the annoyance. I remember the first time I met you, Eleanor thought you brought you to court for our wedding, and you immediately took it upon yourself to move into the palace. I was never even consulted.
I was merely waiting to see whether my sister had married the right man. In fact, I'm still waiting.
By God, it is you. The only woman with a sharper tongue than Eleanor's.
Well, I shall take that as a compliment, given the source.
Eleanor was pleased to see you?
She was, and I her.
Good. I'm grateful for that. I was worried she might not be.
You were the one who sent for me.
Yes.
But why? After all, you and I have rarely seen eye to eye.
But you do see eye to eye with Eleanor, which is what I'm counting on.
Really, Your Majesty,
Please, Petra, let us dispense with formalities. I am Henry, and I am dying. I will soon stand before God, and I doubt he will call me Your Majesty.
You find that vexing?
Only because it's so soon. I'd wanted to live much longer.
Yes, so did I.
I don't understand.
I'm dying as well, Henry. A cancer.
Oh, I'm sorry, Petra, truly. Does Eleanor know?
I didn't want to tell her. She's already troubled.
Oh, by me, of course.
You won't hear me deny it.
You could at least pretend.
Not even for a king.
That's the reason we never saw eye to eye. You're too honest. She hates me, Petra.
Well, she has reason.
I only did what I had to do.
As king, perhaps. But what about as a man, as a husband? In that respect, you were sadly lacking.
You don't mince words, do you, woman?
Why should I? I have as little time left as you. Feel free to take my head if you like. In fact, I wish you would. It would spare me an undoubtedly prolonged and painful death.
What could I have done differently? I'm king. I had to care for the realm. I had to maintain peace. People often got in the way.
Even the people you loved?
Especially the people I loved.
Eleanor only wanted your love, Henry. Your faithfulness. Who am I to talk about that in that regard? I was the one who betrayed my own marriage.
You and Raoul were never happy. Everyone knew that.
Well, does that matter? Is that truly an excuse for infidelity? He had every right to lock me in that convent. He gave me time to think about what I'd done and how selfish I'd been. I wanted to tell him so, to ask his forgiveness. He died before I could.
You think I should beg Eleanor's forgiveness?
Oh, I think you should both beg each other's. The church speaks of hell and eternal damnation. What worse hell could there be than to die with a lifetime of regrets?
None. Absolutely none.
Eleanor enters.
Petra, I didn't know you were here.
Oh, The king and I were merely catching up on insults. Isn't that so, your majesty?
Indeed. Your good lady sister decided to hasten my end with her company. I feel perversely blessed.
Well, then my task is completed. I shall leave the two of you to your perpetual sparring. I go to find Flytrap. Your majesties.
Petra exits.
A fly trap? What did she mean by that?
She's your sister.
Henry, John
I
is...
know what John is, Eleanor. John is everything you claim and worse. He has asked repeatedly to see me, but I gave orders he will not. I'm certain that if he does, one of us will surely die.
What do you wish to do?
Wait until Richard arrives. John will see reason then.
Do you truly believe that?
He can't stand against both Richard and Philip. And if he tries, then whatever befalls the dullard will be his own doing.
Oh, that is certainly a change of attitude from the last time we spoke.
Death has a way of unmasking realities, Lamb. What we would not see is all we do see. What happened, Eleanor? What happened?
What do you mean?
To us. Why did our love die?
You assume we were ever in love to begin with.
I think we were. I think you believe so as well, as much as you try to hide it.
You are the sage. You figure it out.
Eleanor, please. There's so much I will never understand. Let me at least know this. Was it my adultery? Was my faithfulness? Was it Rosamond?
Oh, dear God. I wish I might never hear that name again.
So it was her.
Yes. What? No. Oh, it was everything, Henry. Don't you understand? It was Rosamond. Jane. Your indifference. It was you. And it was William.
The babe?
Yes, Henry, the babe. You can't even say his name, can you? Even after 30 years, you still can't say the name of your firstborn son.
Eleanor, I just thought that...
He was only 3 years old. He had those terrible seizures. He would shake and shake so violently. All I could do was just hold him tight and pray for them to stop. Please, God, just let them stop. Finally, they did.
Eleanor, please.
Where were you? Henry, where? When we laid him to rest. I never did find out. Here? In France? With one of your mistresses? I suppose now it doesn't matter. I only know that I needed you. I needed you to grieve with me over the death of our son, but you weren't there.
I didn't know what to do, what to say. The pain was so great.
And mine wasn't. He was our firstborn child.
Don't you think I know that? I'm reminded of that fact every single day. I keep asking myself, what if William had lived? Would I now be facing his treason? Or would he truly be the heir that I wanted? That's all I have left, Eleanor, a lifetime of what-ifs.
Do you want me to weep for you?
No. I want you to see me for what I am. Broken, defeated, no longer a king. Just a dying man facing his sins. I want you to forgive me. Is that too much to ask?
No, it's not too much to ask. It's too much to give.
Eleanor, please. I need your help. What can I do? Damn it, woman. What do you want from me?
My freedom! Isn't it obvious? I want my freedom. I want to walk outside in the grass and feel the sun on my face, smell the flowers, and not worry that the next time you summon me is to my death. But I'm tired of being a means to an end. If you want something from Richard, then you deal with him. Stop being his king and be his father. That's all he's ever wanted. That's all they've all wanted from you. Just be their father. God, I'm so tired of all this. I just want to leave Chinon and never come back.
I promised you your freedom.
Only if Richard agrees to your terms.
It is the best I can offer.
The best you can... Oh.
Eleanor, please, don't you understand? You defied your king and your husband. Your punishment was just. After all, I must have obedience in my realm.
Father Alban has entered quietly.
Forgive me, Majesties, please. but I bear important news.
Of Richard?
Indeed, sire. The prince has been spotted less than a league from Chinon, with an army of 5,000 men.
Quietly exits.
Is Philip with him?
There is no sign of King Philip, your majesty.
Oh, a rift, perhaps. This could be to our advantage. Thank you, father. You may go now. Prepare the castle for my son's arrival.
Alban exits.
Eleanor Lamb, as I said, I must...
She is no longer there. Scene 7. The castle antechamber the next morning. Prince John is drinking from a chalice. Cat enters.
Aha! There you are, my little kitty cat. Scurrying after dormice, are we?
Sire, please forgive me, but I am about my lady's business.
My lady?
The Lady Alice, sire. She would have me move her things into the king's chambers.
Well, you are now about my business. Where were you last night, girl? I couldn't find you anywhere.
I'm sorry, sire.
Tell me, little kitty cat, have you ever lain with a king?
I have never lain with any man.
A maiden? Truly? I did not think they still existed. Well, then, I am indeed very fortunate, as you also will be quite soon.
Please, sire, I must be about my lady's business. She will be vexed with me.
Not nearly
John
as
grabs
vexed as,
by the throat. Alice and Talbot silently enter.
not nearly as vexed as me, girl. I don't like it when people refuse me, especially servants. I will be given what I want, and willingly, or I will simply take it.
Oh, sweet Jesus, save me.
Let her go, John.
What did you say?
Catherine is in my service. Let her go.
You forget who you speak to, woman.
I know exactly who I speak to. Let her go.
And if I don't?
Then I shall go and see the king. He's quite fond of me, you know.
John lets go of Cat. Cat quickly exits.
So, you move into father's bedroom. You prefer a dying man over the living?
No, I simply prefer a man over a boy.
I'm not a boy! Why does everyone keep calling me that? Do you have any idea what I could do to you?
As long as the king lives, you can do nothing.
That won't be for long. And I can wait. Oh, yes, I can wait.
Then perhaps you should wait for Richard. No doubt he's quite anxious to see his little brother once again.
Enjoy your power, my lady. It won't last long.
If you'll
John exits.
If you'll forgive me, my lady, the prince seems...
The prince is a pig.
My lady.
Prince John is a pig. He always has been. He can't help it. It's just his nature.
But he is your betrothed.
I will never marry John. I would throw myself in battlements before that would ever happen.
No! Forgive me, my lady. I only meant... God forbid any such thing might happen. Suicide is a sin.
Perhaps. In any event, I'm not certain I will marry anyone.
With respect, my lady, I truly hope that isn't the case. I should hope you marry someone you love, and who loves you.
How's that?
Nothing, my lady.
You're a very sweet boy, William, and you're actually the second person to tell me that, but you have a great deal to learn about the world.
My mother chose my father.
Excuse me?
My mother. She chose my father to marry.
Truly? And just how, pray tell, did she do that?
She met him at a tournament in Tours. He was jousting. She asked if she could tie her kerchief to his lance for luck. It must have worked, for he won every tilt that day. So she went again to the next event and did the same.
And did he win?
Every joust. By then my father was convinced she was either a witch or the girl he would marry. Thankfully, he chose the latter. He would always say she bewitched him, though, and she would never deny it.
It's a very sweet story, William. Do you see your mother often?
She died, my lady, when I was 12.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
My father was overwhelmed with grief, so much so that he left for the Crusades. He died fighting at Ephesus. This was his.
You must be very proud.
He named me his successor before he left. He told me to always be a true knight. May I confide in you, my lady?
Of course, William.
I don't always know what that means.
Perhaps it means virtuous and kind.
Neither is ever easy.
No, neither.
My father was virtuous and kind. It may be that he meant that I should be.
May I speak frankly, William?
Please, my lady.
I have known many knights. I think you are every bit as true, indeed, even more so than most.
Thank you, my lady.
Father
Very well,
Alban
William.
enter.
Prince Richard approaches the castle. He bears a flag of parley.
Eminence, I shall go and fetch Prince John.
No,
No.
His Majesty would prefer that I speak with the Prince, William. And I would have you come with me.
Me?
You are the Count of Ponthieu.
That was my father, Eminence. I am an unknown.
Prince Richard would recognize the title.
But I am not.
You are more than capable, William. You have my trust. And the King's.
Very well, then. I will help as I can.
William, wait.
Alice takes her kerchief from her pocket.
For luck.
My lady.
Talvis and Alban exit.
Interesting. What happened to the annoying young boy?
I'm not sure, Lady Petra. Perhaps he's no longer so annoying or so much of a boy.
Scene 8. The castle throne room a short time later. Father Alban and Talvis stand together. Richard Lionheart enters. Richard wears a cloak bearing his coat of arms and is armed with a sword.
Your Highness, welcome to Chinon. God's peace be with you.
I will see King Henry.
With respect, sire, the king is ill.
Perhaps you didn't hear me, priest. I will see King Henry now.
Again, Highness, with genuine respect, the king, your father, is ill. Gravely ill.
Was he wounded?
No, sire. He vomits blood from an ulcer. A great deal of blood.
Blood. Is he dying?
As much as it grieves me, sire, I fear that he is.
Truly, Father, this news is unsettling. Yet, I am still compelled to speak with him on behalf of King Philip. The French are angered that Henry, father, refuses to return their rightful lands.
I understand, sire, truly, and all of your concerns will be addressed, I assure you.
Without the king, how?
King Henry has given me his blessing to act in his stead. I know his mind in most affairs.
You know my father's mind? I commend you, priest. I wouldn't have thought God himself that clever.
I know the king only wants what's best for the entire realm, Highness.
I'm sure he does. And where is my brother John? I know he's here. I saw his flag on the battlements.
Prince John is indisposed, Highness.
You mean intoxicated. No doubt he's swimming in a barrel of ale with a naked scullery wench.
I can have him summoned, if you like.
Oh, I would never dream of interrupting his debauchery. But I would like to see my father.
In time, sire. You will see him. I give you my word. In the meantime, the disposition of the French realm has already been considered. In fact, the king has drawn up a list of proposals. I think you and King Philip will both find them acceptable.
Talvis hands Richard a paper scroll.
King Philip and I will review these proposals, Father, but I cannot make any promises. You wear a crusader's mantle, boy. Why?
It was my father's, sire.
And he was?
Sir Guy Talvis, sire, Count of Ponthieu.
Talvis. Talvis. By God, I've heard of him. It was said he died defending a piece of the true cross at Ephesus, and that he didn't let it fall into Saracen hands.
So it was said, sire.
Impressive, truly impressive. There is no greater glory than to die fighting for the cross. You should be proud of your father. Your name is...
William, sire.
You're a quite handsome lad, William. Quite handsome indeed.
Thank you, sire.
Prince John enters, obviously drunk.
Look here, priest. I demand to see my Richard, I was not made aware that you had arrived.
There you are, little brother. You must have bathed. I don't smell the beer that usually precedes you.
Tell that priest to let me see my father. He has no right keeping me away. I have much to say to him.
Father Alban says the king that our father is deathly ill. If this is so, then I will respect his wishes and allow him to rest. Besides, what great calamity would you report? The castle has run out of ale?
Father would take Lady Alice away from me and give her to you.
Really? Is this true?
It's part of the king's proposals, Highness.
Of course. Alice holds the Vexen as her dowry, and it is one of the provinces Philip wants returned.
Hell, damn land. All I want is Alice.
And what makes you think King Philip would want you with his sister, and his sister married to a petulant child?
John draws Richard. Richard draws his own weapon in defense, then holds the blade to John's throat.
Your blade is woefully short, little brother. I'm certain you've heard that before.
Enough, both of you. Is this how the sons of a king honor a dying father? You grieve the very heart of God.
I told you before, priest.
John!
John slowly lowers his dagger and steps back. Richard suddenly drops to one knee and bows his head. He holds like a cross before him.
And Father, I'm truly sorry. It has been a long, difficult journey and only made worse by this terrible news of my father's illness. I would humbly beg God's forgiveness. Brother?
John kneels.
I too beg God's forgiveness.
You are both forgiven by God's grace. Highnesses, with respect, if nothing else, let us be peaceful in voicing our concerns.
But what about my concerns, priest? Am I not to be included in Father's treaty? Or is my voice not to be heard, as usual?
Richard stands, slipping an arm around John's shoulders.
Of course, John, of course. Your concerns are every bit as relevant. Despite our differences, we are still brothers. This can all be resolved. Granted, it would be better if we could speak with Father, but it can be resolved.
Eleanor has quietly entered.
Indeed, Highness, this is why we are here. It's simply a matter of negotiation.
So funny.
Oh, nothing. It just occurred to me. It's really too bad Mother isn't here. Then you would see true negotiations. By God, that woman has a tongue sharper than a serpent's tooth. Indeed, sometimes I think Father may have actually imprisoned her simply to shut her up.
Richard,
Even as a child, I preferred a beating over one of her incessant lectures.
Richard.
That woman could talk the devil straight out of hell.
Richard.
What?
John nods in Eleanor's direction. Richard turns. Eleanor smiles. End of Act 1. The Ashes of Aquitaine, Act 2, Scene 1. The castle throne room, just a few moments later.
Hello, Richard.
Mother, don't I feel the perfect fool?
Try to tell you.
Indeed you did, dear brother. My apologies for not listening. How fare you, mother? I had no idea father had released you.
Obviously. Really, Richard, the serpent's tooth?
Not necessarily poisonous.
Have I come at a difficult time?
Not at all, Your Grace. Indeed, your presence is most fortuitous.
I would like to speak to my son alone, if I may.
Of course you would.
As you wish, Your Grace.
Albin nods to the others and they hurriedly exit. John lags behind. Eleanor pushes forward.
Mind the venom, brother.
Eleanor pushes forward to hug him.
Richard, oh, my dear son.
Mother, it's so good to see you again.
Let me look at you. I haven't seen you since, I can't even remember the last time.
Nor I. It's just been far too long, Mother. The priest said father is dying. Is this true?
It would appear so, yes.
It doesn't seem possible. He was always so strong.
If you mean by strong, you mean stubborn? Well, yes, I agree.
But from an ulcer, I always envisioned father as falling in battle, not dying in bed.
No doubt he did as well. Which is why he sent for me.
No, he sent for you because of me. Father could never talk to me directly. It's almost as if we speak a different language.
Indeed. I believe yours is called rebellion.
There is no rebellion. Father has blown this whole affair out of proportion, as usual.
What happened?
In truth, I don't know. Philip sent emissaries asking father for the return of the Vexen and Auvergne. Before they even arrived at Le Mans, father's soldiers attacked them. No one knows why, but in any event, one thing led to another, and Philip being Philip, he retaliated. The next thing I know, he and father were at war, and I was in rebellion. I wasn't even there, for God's sake. I was in Paris with an envoy from Pope Clement.
Pope Clement?
Yes. I have incredible news, Mother. The Pope is calling for a new crusade, and he wants me to lead it.
Henry never mentioned this.
He doesn't know. No one does. Not as of yet, except for you. Oh, think of it, Mother. I could very well be the one to return Jerusalem to Christian hands, something I've dreamed of my entire life.
The situation with Henry must be resolved first, Richard. John cannot be allowed to take the throne.
I can't believe father would be fool enough to give it to him.
No, he's at least relinquished that idea. He would have the two of you rule jointly, you in France, John in England.
Seems fair accord. I have no interest in England. It's cold, bleak, lifeless.
How would you know? You've never even been there.
Exactly. No, I am perfectly content with my holdings here in France.
Except the Aquitaine. Henry has promised that to me, along with my freedom.
Excellent news, and perfectly fair. I have no need of it, and Philip only wants Auvergne and the Vexin.
The Vexin belongs to Alice. It was part of her dowry when she was betrothed to you.
Yes, and I understand that would be the case once again. John was very emphatic about that.
The marriage would satisfy Philip, and Alice is a beautiful woman.
She is also father's mistress.
Yeah, you know Henry takes whatever and whomever he wants. Besides, when was marriage ever about love?
Who mentioned love? King Sancho of Navarre has offered me his daughter, Berengaria. Philip's relations with Spain have been tenuous at best. This marriage would provide stability for both of us.
You would give Alice to John.
Ha! I wouldn't give my worst enemy to John, although I might give John to my worst enemy. Now, if father relinquishes her dowry, then Alice can do as she pleases. Besides, I have no time for marriage. I must ready my army for Palestine.
Things.
About what?
About your army.
Such as?
Some of the battles you fought. It said innocent peasants have been slaughtered, that women have been assaulted.
There have been incidents, Mother, I won't deny it. Soldiers in battle are given to excesses, you know that. But I do not condone such behavior, and I hang any man who indulges in rape.
It pleases me to hear that.
I don't understand. You worry over the virtue of peasant women, yet you show no grief for our father.
I have lost all concern for Henry. Indeed, I see his death as my final liberation in so many ways.
But you did love him once.
Why do people keep asking me that? I don't know, Richard. I don't know what I felt. Look back now and everything just seems blurred. All my emotions are jumbled and twisted. It's as if I fell into a briar of both roses and thorns. There's terrible pain, but wonderful sweetness. I just don't know which is greater.
What will you do afterwards?
I shall travel to Bordeaux, where I will build a chalet in the hills overlooking the city. Then I shall spend the rest of my days simply watching the sun rise and set over the Pyrenees.
Hardly a noble end for such a formidable queen.
No, but perfect for a tired queen.
Well, I shall go now and review father's proposal with Philip. If they are as you say, there shouldn't be any problem accepting. Hopefully, we can end this wretched business quickly. It's truly good seeing you again, Mother.
Richard.
Yes, Mother.
I love you. You're the only one of all my children I've ever been able to tell that.
And I you, even with a serpent's tooth.
Eleanor slaps at him playfully. Richard exits. Scene 2. Henry's bedchamber the next morning. Henry lies silently as Alice gently tucks the bed covers around him.
Are you comfortable, love?
I am. You don't have to fawn over me so much, my sweet. I have servants, you know.
None of them care as much about you.
True, but most of them find me quite vexing.
All men are vexing, and all men say the same about women.
Not out loud. Has Richard responded to my proposals?
Not as yet, although I heard he was quite amenable.
Richard is a chameleon. His mood changes with the wind.
Perhaps it will blow steady for a while. I must go now. Will you sleep?
I will try. Without you to soothe me, it will be hard.
I promise to return soon. Rest well. Henry, the young knight you assigned to protect me?
Talvis, a good lad. What of him?
Did you know his father was a crusader?
Indeed, Guy Talvis. Incredibly brave and loyal man. One of the reasons I gave his son to you. You could not be in better hands.
He seems quite young, almost still a boy.
He has his father's heart.
A true knight?
Yes, absolutely. A true knight. Why do you ask?
No reason. Rest well, love. Father Alban?
Father Alban enters.
Lady Alice.
Alice
Your
exits.
Majesty.
Ah, there you are, priest. Any news?
Nothing yet, Majesty. Richard left without a decision. Her Grace the Queen seems hopeful.
So Alice tells me.
Majesty, about Lady Alice.
What about her?
You have never mentioned her in any of your confessions.
Should I?
She is your mistress, Majesty.
So?
You are still married to Queen Eleanor.
Is that all? Your God is incredibly picky, priest. Of all the things I regret in my life, Alice will never be one of them. God will have to be content with that. My only true regret is that I have to give her to one of my wretched sons.
In that respect, Majesty, I may be able to ease your mind. Queen Eleanor did say that she discussed the marriage with Prince Richard. He said that as long as the province of the Vexin was returned to Philip, the marriage agreement could be nullified.
Truly? Ah, this is excellent news. Tell God I said thank you.
Tell him yourself, Majesty.
I will soon, in person.
Petra enters.
Oh, good God. Just when I thought this day couldn't possibly get any worse. How did you get past my guards, witch?
It wasn't difficult. I merely told them that if they didn't let me in, I would turn.
Oh, Father, would you please excuse us for a moment? I would speak to the Lady Petra alone. Besides, I wouldn't want her to burst into flames due to your presence.
Lady Petra.
Father, I shall try not to stand too close to the tapestries. I know they're quite flammable.
Alban exits.
She won't forgive me, Petra.
I'm not surprised. My sister is nearly as stubborn as you are. Indeed, I think God put the two of you together because he couldn't find anyone else who would take either one.
Perhaps. Just out of curiosity, would you have taken me?
Only with poison. Should I summon Father Alban?
No. I'm fine. Just stop making me laugh. Unless you're deliberately trying to kill me.
I won't rush death for either one of us, Henry. It will come soon enough.
Oh, would you talk to her, Petra?
Oh, what would you have me say? I can't reach into someone's soul. In spite of what you might believe, I truly am not a witch.
No, but you're her sister, and I know she cares what you think.
Well, not in matters of the heart, Henry. No one has control over that. Not even ourselves.
But will you try? Please, Petra, it would mean everything to me.
I will try, Henry. I will try.
Did you really tell my guards you would turn them into newts? Interesting. And to think all these years I've been merely threatening them with execution.
Scene 3. The castle antechamber a short time later. Alice enters with Talbus.
And I would have my things prepared for transport back to Paris.
Everything, my lady?
Yes, there will be no reason for me to remain afterwards.
As you wish, my lady.
John enters.
You boy, Count of Ponthieu.
Sire?
I would speak to the Lady Alice. Alone.
Talbus exits.
What do you want, John? I have very little time for you now.
Oh, but you will, my dearest. Soon you will have all the time in the world.
Haven't you heard? Richard told Queen Eleanor that as long as the Vexin was returned to Philip, the marriage contract is dissolved.
That's Richard's concern, not mine. Dowry or no dowry, you will still belong to me. I will finally get to see what Father's been seeing beneath that lovely dress.
Would you really like to see what's beneath this dress, John?
More than anything in the world.
Alice reaches into the sleeve of her dress and pulls out a small dagger. She holds the blade only inches from John's face.
Listen to me, you pathetic little toad. God forbid, should the day ever come that you and I do actually marry, then I promise you, before all that's holy, that on our wedding night, once you have finished your drunken rutting and fallen into a stupor, I will take this knife and I will plunge it deep within your skull, which shouldn't be difficult given that it's completely empty.
Yeah, you can't do that. You'd be burnt at the stake.
It would be worth it just to know that you were burning in hell.
Alice takes a threatening step forwards. John shrieks and stumbles backwards. He falls to the floor, then struggles clumsily to his feet and races out of the room. Talvis enters quietly behind her.
My lady?
Alice turns with the knife outstretched.
It's me, my lady. William.
William?
I'm sorry, my lady. I didn't mean to startle you. I was only going to ask whether you needed assistance. Clearly, I can see you do not.
Alice lowers the knife.
I'm sorry, William. Please forgive me. I fear I lost my head, which may actually happen.
You were not afraid of him.
I'm no longer afraid of anything, William. The king's life is nearly ended, and mine along with it.
Please, Lady Alice, don't say such things. You have your life back. You're free. I should think you'd be rejoicing.
Why? There's nothing to rejoice about. Even if John lets me live, I am no longer virtuous. No one will have me. I will most likely end my days in a convent, if not on the scaffold. Perhaps it's for the best, given my sins.
The church says God forgives all sins.
Perhaps, but we must first forgive ourselves. That's much harder, don't you think?
Alice stands forlornly with a look of despair. It's obvious Talvis wants to console her.
Lady Alice, I cannot. I will not believe there is no one who would want you. In fact, I am certain that person exists, and perhaps is closer than you think.
You're very kind, William. A true knight.
My lady, please know that wherever you go, whatever happens to you, I vow to protect you, even to my own death.
Alice looks at him curiously, then slowly smiles. She reaches out to touch his arm.
That comforts me, William. Truly, indeed, that does comfort me.
Scene 4. Eleanor's bedroom a short time later. Eleanor sits at a small table and writes as Petra quietly enters.
If you're writing your will, sister, I would very much like to have that ermine cloak Louis gave you. As I recall, it was much too small for you anyway.
I remember that robe. It kept me warm enough. I always felt safe somehow whenever I was wrapped inside. In any event, the moth ate that years ago. Sorry.
What a shame. Well then, I'm not picky. I'll take whatever furred garments you might have left. And your jewels, of course.
Of course. But I'm afraid you'll have to wait, Petra. I'm not quite ready to die just yet. I'm merely writing my steward in Bordeaux to have him ready my lodgings. No doubt they'll need a shovel to clear away the dust.
You'll leave soon?
As soon as possible, yes.
Will you wait until Henry?
No. Once this business with Richard and Philip is finished, I shall take my leave of Chinon, and I will never look back.
Bordeaux. Oh, it's been so long since I've seen it. It was always so beautiful. Eleanor, do you remember that little cove on the beach near the harbor where we used to go swimming as girls?
Oh, yes. Do you remember that young nobleman who stumbled on us that day when we were naked?
I do indeed. Well, part of him anyway. Would you mind terribly if I were to come with you, Eleanor?
To Bordeaux? Of course not. You don't wish to return to Vermandois?
To what? The convent? I think not. Besides, I have no holdings there. Raoul saw to that.
You are most welcome to come with me, dear sister. Truly, I would have it no other way.
Thank you, Eleanor. It will be good to die among family.
Die? Petra, what are you saying? What do you mean, die?
I have a cancer, Eleanor. I'm told my time is quite limited.
What? No, no. Oh, dear God. This can't be. Is there nothing the physicians can do?
Only add their prayers.
Petra, why didn't you tell me sooner?
Oh, you were burdened with so many things. It would have been cruel to add to them.
Oh, dearest Petra. Just when I felt my spirits finally lifting, God crushes them again.
Don't go blaming God, Eleanor. We all take life as it comes, good or bad.
But why is it mostly bad?
Probably because we deserve it.
What can I do, Petra? How can I help?
Well, there's one thing I would ask.
Name it, dear sister. Whatever it is, I will gladly give it.
Forgive Henry?
What?
I would like to die knowing the two of you finally stopped hating each other. Like Henry, I would see peace.
You don't know what you're asking.
You asked me how you could help? I'm telling you. Forgive him.
You weren't there. Petra, you didn't see the things I saw, feel the things I felt.
But what is it you truly hate? The man or his deeds?
They are the same.
There are the deeds of a king and the deeds of a man. Granted, Henry is both, but in his defense, he can't help either. You loved the man, sister. I know that. I saw that. I still see it. You're simply too stubborn to see it yourself. Eleanor, please don't carry this hatred for the rest of your life. I know the weight of that burden. Don't wait until you're facing death to let go of it.
Do you remember the fire, Petra?
The fire?
In the Aquitaine. When we were children, I was 12, I think, perhaps 11. You were only 7 or 8. It was so hot that year. There was almost no rain. The forest east of the Garonne caught fire. I remember watching the flames from the castle walls. They lit up the night, made it almost as bright as day.
I think so. I seem to recall Father was terrified it would jump the river and reach the city. Thank God it didn't.
Indeed. And do you remember the ashes? They fell for days, covered everything like gray, filthy snow. It was like walking through some bleak, evil fairyland.
Of course, I remember now. The ashes of Aquitaine. I'm sure they still speak of it. But why do you think of that now, sister?
Because I remember feeling as though it was the end of the world. Exactly the same as I feel right now.
Cat rushes in.
Your Majesty, forgive me, but Father Alban bids you come at once. Prince Richard has returned.
I'll be there shortly.
Your Majesty.
Cat exits.
Petra.
Go. We'll speak of this later.
Eleanor exits. Scene 5. The castle antechamber a short time later. Eleanor and Father Alban stand waiting. Talvas enters, followed by Richard.
Your Majesty.
Lady Mother, Father Alban.
Your Highness, we welcome your return.
King Philip and I have reviewed Father's proposals. Overall, they are quite acceptable. We have 1 or 2 slight concerns, but nothing which can't be resolved.
Excellent news, sire. God be praised.
But I wish to see my father in person.
As I've said, Highness, the king is extremely ill. I can convey your concerns.
It is imperative, Father. I cannot negotiate otherwise. There are, shall we say, subtleties which can only be addressed by my father's presence in the conversation. To go back and forth via intermediary would only lengthen the discourse. Besides, I would very much like to see him.
I will ask the king if he is amenable to this.
That is most appreciated, Father.
If you will excuse me.
Alban and Talbot exit. Eleanor enters.
Mother!
Oh, Richard, you have no idea how happy this makes me. Your father and I will both be at peace.
Then that's all that matters.
John enters.
Richard,
Oh, God.
I need to talk to you, brother.
Do you could possibly do it without spilling wine all over me?
There's a great deal we need to discuss. Alone.
I will leave you to your discourse. You have my sympathies.
Eleanor exits.
What is it you want, John?
I want what's fair, Richard. I will not grovel at you like a dog and simply snatch at the scraps that you and father decide to throw me.
And what do you consider fair?
Alice! I want Alice. The little witch threatened to kill me.
That doesn't surprise me at all. Why would you still want her?
To break her. Show her exactly who she belongs to. I'll have her stripped naked and publicly flogged. And then I'll bed her.
Richard reaches out and grabs him by the throat. John clutches at Richard's hand.
You know, little brother, it suddenly occurs to me how very much I loathe the sound of your voice, so much so that if I hear it again, I will choke it completely out of you.
But we're brothers.
You say that as if it actually means something. Now listen
Richard
to me.
forces John to his knees and glares down at him.
Brother, if you wish to continue this perversion you call your life, then you will do exactly as I tell you. Otherwise, I will crush you like the insect you are. Do you understand me, John?
John nods frantically.
Good. Now I want you to listen closely, because I am only going to say this once.
Scene 6. The castle throne room a short time later. Eleanor, Petra, and Alice watch as Father Alban and Talbot enter, with Henry supported between them.
Careful, William. Slowly.
Of course, Eminence. Forgive me, Your Highness, please.
I'm fine, lad, I'm fine. I've heard much worse, believe me. I once had a horse fall on me during a joust. Damned Welsh stallion. The Welsh always hated me. I think it was deliberate.
There's no need for this, Majesty. I can bring Prince Richard to your chamber.
No, I am still king. I will not conduct affairs of state from my bed.
But you are...
I am still king.
Majesty.
Alban and Talvis guide Henry to his throne and help him to sit.
Oh, good ladies.
Your Majesty.
Mind you which, no spells today.
Really, Your Majesty? And I was so looking forward to summoning fire and brimstone just for this occasion.
I can do that well enough on my own. Lady Alice, are you well?
I am, Majesty, especially seeing you here.
Good lady wife.
Husband.
His Royal Highness Prince Richard of England.
Richard enters. John follows.
Your Majesty.
Welcome, Richard. Hello, John.
Your Majesty, Father, may I truly say how pleased I am to see you. I was grieved to hear of your illness, and I pray you a speedy recovery.
Your prayers are appreciated, Richard, though your rebellion is not.
A misunderstanding, Father, truly. One I hope we can quickly resolve.
You and Philip have read my proposals?
We have.
And you are in agreement?
Absolutely, with one small exception.
Which is?
I shall be the sole King of England.
No. You and John are to...
You are not listening, Father. I shall be the sole King of England.
That is not part of my proposals, Richard.
Richard drops the scroll to the floor and steps on it.
That is what I think of your proposals.
Richard.
I haven't finished. In addition to recognizing me as regent, you will also cede the following provinces to King Philip: Auvergne, Anjou, the Vexin, La Marche, Poitou, and the Aquitaine.
Richard!
Be quiet, mother.
But Richard, you promised.
I said be quiet, woman.
Oh, so there is rebellion after all.
No, there is merely the claiming of what is mine by right.
You are forcing us into war!
Which you will immediately lose. Philip and I have far more men than you can possibly gather.
I have your brother's army as well.
Oh, do you? John.
John drops to one knee next to Richard. He takes Richard's hand and holds it to his forehead.
By the grace of Almighty God, I, John Blackland, do solemnly affirm my undying allegiance to
And loyalty.
and loyalty to Richard Lionheart, true and rightful King of England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales.
And
And what?
didn't you forget something?
God save the King.
Richard pulls his hand away.
Thank you, brother. You were saying, father.
What do you want, Richard?
Richard steps forward, holding out the scroll.
Sign.
And if I don't?
Then I will crush what's left of your pathetic kingdom and erase you and your memory from all of history.
Henry grabs the scroll, scribbles his name, and throws it at Richard's feet.
There, damn you!
Truly, father, there is no need for violence.
Henry struggles to his feet.
God curse you! God curse you to hell, both of you!
Henry collapses to the floor.
Henry!
Majesty.
Alban and Alice both kneel beside Henry.
Oh, Henry, dearest love.
Talvis also rushes to Henry's side.
Take her away, lad, please. And take care of her.
Yes.
Henry.
Richard, what are you?
Please, mother, spare me the hysterics. The Aquitaine belongs to Philip. You can have your chalet in Bordeaux. I suppose you've earned that much.
How? How could you do this?
I am king. I can do as I please. You taught me that.
I did ask you, brother. Remember your promise.
Yes, yes, of course. Alice is yours. Besides, I want no part of father's whore.
No, better a whore than a traitor.
Richard raises his hand as striker. Talvis pulls Alice aside and steps in front of her.
No,
You insolent pup, I could have your head.
I know, sire, but better my head than my lady's honor.
Ha, ha, ha. You're in love with her, by God! The little pup is in love with a lady above his station. Ha! Very well. Then since you seem to be so enamored, she's yours.
Sire?
My first official act as regent to proclaim the betrothal of Lady Alice Capet to Sir William Talvis, Count of Ponthieu. A reward for your father's service, Sir William. Although I have to warn you, you may not be mature enough for her tastes.
You said she was mine.
I like this union better.
You promised.
I grow tired of your voice once again, little brother. I wish to hear it no more.
John exits. Richard places the scroll beneath his cloak and exits.
I'm sorry, my lady. No doubt he meant it as a cruel jest. Cruel to you, I mean.
Perhaps, but perhaps not so cruel. Take me away, William.
Where, my lady?
Alice, William. My name is Alice. Anywhere, just Take me anywhere, please.
Of course, my Alice.
Alice takes his arm and presses her head against his shoulder. Talvis hugs her close, and the two of them exit. Eleanor and Petra have joined Alban in kneeling next to Henry.
Henry. Henry, can you hear me? Oh, Henry, oh God. Please don't let him be dead.
What difference would it make? You said you wouldn't grieve.
Will you please stop doing that?
At least I'm not an old goat anymore. Help me up.
Henry, you're bleeding.
I don't care. I will not die on a cold floor.
Eleanor helps him crawl to one of the thrones. He collapses into it and gestures to the other.
Oh, sit beside me, Lamb, in your rightful place as queen. Do you remember our wedding day, Eleanor?
What? Of course. Well, why would you think of that now?
I keep thinking of something the Archbishop said during this service. He was trying to give us counsel for our lives together, but I wasn't paying much attention. I kept staring at your breasts and dreaming of the night to come.
What did he say?
Non est gravitas quorum coronum.
Oh, I remember now. There is no burden heavier than a crown.
He must have known what was coming, and we simply didn't listen.
Henry reaches for a scroll lying on the small table next to the throne. He hands it to Eleanor.
Here, I intended to give you this later, once all of this was resolved.
What is it?
Just read it.
Eleanor opens the scroll and begins to read.
Your freedom, by royal decree.
Henry,
No words, Lamb, please. No words.
But Richard didn't agree.
It doesn't matter. I was wrong to keep you imprisoned in the first place. It was only because of my pride, the damnable pride of a king. Let Richard have the crown, for all good it will do him. Let him bear the weight. Do you think William would have betrayed us, Eleanor?
You mean the babe?
Yes. William. Would he have been the true heir?
No, he would have turned as well. We would have made him. We forgot they were boys, Henry. We forgot to love them as boys. We wanted princes, chancellors, kings. We made them what they are.
I know.
Therefore I despise myself and repent in dust and ashes.
How's that?
It's from the Bible. Job.
Ah, yes, of course. My kinsman.
Henry, you must know something. I had nothing to do with Rosamond's death. I did not weep for her, but I did not kill her.
I never believed you did, Lamb, but thank you for telling me.
I forgive you, Henry.
What?
I forgive you for everything. I told you once that you were the only man that I have always...
Shh. I told you, Lamb, no words.
Can you forgive me?
You don't even have to ask. I feel him coming, Eleanor.
Death?
He's biting at my backside again. Oh, the cheeky beggar.
Fight him, Henry. Fight him and win, please. Just as you won all your other battles.
No, I have no more strength to fight, and nothing left to fight for. It's all gone. And I don't really care. It was all, what did you say, dust and ashes? Will you stay with me, Lamb, until he comes?
Of course I'll stay, love. Of course I'll stay.
The end.